Today is a great and amazing, incredible day, and I'll tell you why. Because it's a German and Austria day. Germany versus Austria. Culture shock experiences. Without further ado, let's get into this reaction. Let's go.
I was asked what are the major cultural differences that I've noticed in the different countries that I lived in compared to Slovakia, where I come from. And it made me think about my different culture shock experiences. So I currently live in Vienna, Austria, and before I've been living in Germany for 3 years.
Guys, by the way, I haven't learned anything to do with Austria, and I've had in my comment section, you need to learn about Austria. You need to look into Austria. You know, Austria, they speak German as well. Like, they're a German-speaking country that's completely different from Germany. And I'm like, oh my God, I do. It's just that the reason why I haven't branched into Austria is because I'm still learning about Germany. Germany is huge and vast, and there's so many cultures that I haven't even scratched the surface of Germany. But this is good because I want to know the difference between Germany and Austria. So, and if there are any differences, because I don't know, you're both kind of Germanic, right? So I don't know. But then again, British people are Germanic as well. So, and there's a big difference between the British and the Germans. So let's see.
Specifically in Passau, which is Lower Bavaria. It can't get really any lower than that, since it's on the border with Austria. So you wouldn't really think there is much of a difference there. But well, there is. So here are two things that I struggle with in both countries, and two things that were a little bit different.
I like that. She said two things that she struggled with in both countries, and two things that are completely different.
First of all, direct negative feedback. And it can get a bit more direct in Germany. But generally, if the Austrians or Germans don't like something, they will let you know.
They will tell you. You guys will tell that person. I just find it funny now because now I understand. There's no it's not malicious. There's no ill intent behind it. It's just, you're very, very honest, and that's very admirable. To me, I'm like, wow, the honesty is there. If a German doesn't like you, they probably will tell you. If a German doesn't like what you're doing, they'll probably tell you. If you're doing something wrong, a German person will tell you. And even if they're wrong, they will still tell you. Because no one keeps things in Germany, from what I've heard. And I really like that. And I think I'm going to find that a breath of fresh air when I go to Germany, because in the UK, nobody will tell you. People won't tell you, and they will lie to you, to your face. They will smile at you and not like you. They will do you know what I mean? It's like very different culturally. And I can imagine for her coming from a different culture where maybe they're a lot more reserved, that going to Germany is a shock. And I think even though I know this about Germany, I think when I go to Germany, I'm still going to find it a shock. But yeah, it's interesting. At least if someone likes me, then you're going to tell me to my face that you like me. And I'll believe you as a German person, I'll believe you. Whereas if someone in England told me they liked me, I'm like, but do you like me though? Do you know what I mean? Anyways, let's continue.
And for those of us who can't really separate the task from the person, we might take it, well, personally. So criticism from our German clients, colleagues, or business partners might feel like a punch in your face. It hurts. The second one is dialect. So when starting in both countries, I got a present from my colleagues. There was a Bavarian dialect language book and an Austrian German language book. And I have to say, I never even opened them. Why? Well, because if I would want to learn a new language, I would learn Italian or Spanish, or I would improve my Russian or Chinese, whatever. But I invested so much time into learning Hochdeutsch that I kind of feel as long as you can speak it, and I know you can, we can kind of meet halfway.
So she's saying that she's learned one type of German and she has no interest in learning a different type of German, which is fair news. because I don't know any German. Well, no, I know a few sentences. But like, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. It's hard enough. It's hard enough learning a new language than to learn Austrian German, Bavarian German. It's like, I'm good. I get it.
Now let's get to the differences. So the first is the communication styles. From my experience, Austrians tend to value politeness over honesty. And
I can tell that. I don't know. I can tell that. But I watch a YouTuber and he's Austrian. He speaks English, but he's Austrian, and he doesn't come across very direct. He comes across quite soft and quite a bit more like like an English person in a way. And I could tell Germans are a lot more direct than Austrians, if he's anything to go by.
And as Christoph Waltz said,
Austrians tend to make their lives easier. So first of all, they are very polite, and second, they don't mean it. So
So the British they're just like the Brits.
and since that is pretty much what I grew up with in Slovakia, it kind of speaks to my heart or to my cultural preferences. So I struggled a bit with this one in Germany, and what I've learned is that at the end of the day you need to find a balance between communicating what's important to you and also what is expected from you in the different culture.
Sorry, I was just thinking about it just then, and I one thing I really don't like about England is the fact that people are not honest to you, to your face. They don't tell you how they feel. I think I might fall in love with Germany if I don't know. I'll either hate it and I'll be like, oh my god, like there's so many like people that are like so like rude or whatever, or it's gonna be on the flip side that I'm gonna be like, oh my god, this is a breath of fresh air. People let you know whether they like you or they don't, and there's no. I think I'm gonna love it. I'm so excited to experience that culturally. The experience of liking somebody because you like them and you're honest to their face versus being in the UK where you just don't know where you stand with people. We'll see. We'll see when I go. We'll see if I like it. Oh, and I'll tell you. I'll let you know if I like it or I don't. But yeah, interesting.
Second one is hierarchy. So again, in my experience, Austrians tend to be more hierarchical than the Germans. So which again, coming back to my values, I struggled with this one already in Slovakia. So things like titles, being very formal, or even the relationship between the client and supplier being rather unequal in the beginning. Of course, it gets better over time when the client gains more trust. Was again something that I had to get used to in Austria. Of course, also the fact that I've been living in a very small city in Germany and that I'm currently living in a capital city of Austria. That makes a whole lot of difference. Living in a small city makes the living abroad experience even more authentic.
Sorry, I missed what she was saying in the sense of formality. Is she saying that Austrians are more or less formal? Let me hear that again.
Being very formal, or even the relationship between titles. Being very formal is hierarchy. So again, in my experience, Austrians tend to be more hierarchical than the Germans.
I don't know how I missed that. I don't know how I missed that, guys. So the Austrians are more hierarch. Okay, they care more about titles and your position of power, maybe talking down to each other, whatever. But whereas in Germany, maybe you don't care so much about people's titles because everyone's got an opinion. Everybody has input. Maybe am I gonna love Germany? I'm just thinking like, that sounds so ideal. Like, I'm not here for hierarchy. I like people to be assertive and to have their own opinions and not just say yes, sir, just for the sake of saying yes, sir. If you have a valid opinion, if you have input, if you have a brain, you have input. And we working together and people like chipping in with ideas and thoughts and opinions is important. As long as things get done, you know, can't let it get too crazy. You know, decisions have to be made. However, yeah, I am very much in the mindset of like I like to hear people's thoughts and opinions. I do. I wouldn't do this if I didn't like to hear people's thoughts and opinions because I get that in the comment section. Interesting. Austria sounds very much like Britain because we love a title. You know we love a title. We're a monarchy. We're a constitutional monarchy. Like we love a title. King, queen. This person's this person's that. This is the manager, you know. We love that. This is the supervisor. Supervising what? Anyways, we love that in our country. So, yeah, Germany, there's going to be a culture shock and I'm looking forward to experiencing it. It's very different. It's very, very different. I would even say Germany is more different than like going to one of the North European countries, the Scandinavia and all those places. I think Germany is the yang to our yin as Brits. Looking forward to
Germans. So, which again, coming back to my values, I struggled with this one already in Slovakia. So, things like titles, being very formal, or even the relationship between the client and supplier being rather unequal in the beginning. Of course, it gets better over time when the client gains more trust. Was again something that I had to get used to in Austria. Of course, also the fact that I've been living in a very small city in Germany and that I'm currently living in the capital city of Austria. That makes a whole lot of difference. Living in a small city makes the living abroad experience even more authentic. So again, coming back to culture shock, it can make the culture shock even more intense. Most importantly, you might have made a completely different experience from mine, simply because of our different values. So the bigger the difference between your values and the values in the new country, the higher the likability that culture shock kicks in at some point of your stay abroad, and it might be even more intense.
I agree. I think it's going to be slightly intense between Britain. We have a lot of similarities, as you know, we do, being a very close country to one another. But yeah, the differences are strong, especially the directness of Germans versus the avoiding. I don't even know how to describe the way British people are. I'm going to smile to your face and then talk behind your back. That cowardness of not being able to speak directly to a person and tell them how you feel. Non-confrontational. We don't like confrontation in Britain. Yeah, it's gonna be a culture shock going to Germany and people just being like, that's not how you do things. This is what I feel about you. I don't like you. I don't like this. You know, it's gonna be interesting.
So now I'm curious, what are some of your experiences of living abroad, maybe even in Germany or Austria? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, so as you guys know, I've just moved back to the UK and I was living in Southeast Asia. And yeah, I had culture shock when I went there because they're even more so. So I lived in Thailand and the Thais are even more that way. The way of avoiding confrontation, like literally not getting into it. You could have an accident in a vehicle where someone cuts you off in Thailand and they won't say anything to each other. They will just look at each other and they will, why? And then they get on with their day. I kid you not. You could hit someone with your car and it's just, I swear there's no arguing, there's no shouting, when you drive on the roads, they don't use their horn. it's deadly silent. All you hear is vehicle noise. There is no beeping, there's no horns, there's no road rage, because it's just not in their culture. And yeah, there was a culture shock for me. And they're not very assertive, and there's not very much like, there's a lot of avoidance, even more so than Britain. So I imagine a Thai person coming to Germany would find it very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Anyways, guys, culture shocks. I'll find out when I come to Germany. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Until the next one, I will see you very soon.